It's Cyber Monday, or is that Sigh-Ber Monday? Millions online to buy, but if the first few days of the holiday season are any indication, they're really not buying much. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto, and if you are listening to me on the job, for God's sake, get back to work. And if you are buying stuff on the job, for God's sake, don't let your boss see you buying stuff while you're at work, because he would not be impressed. And the killer is the retailers you're supposedly giving the business, they ain't exactly impressed either. What to make of this surprising stop in the shop? With Fox Business Network's Tracy Burns on what got so few keyboarding and buying. Regina Lewis on why all of these promotions ain't helping. And Marshall Cohen on how the economy itself has so many skimping. We begin with Tracy on the cyber side. Trace.
Yeah, well, Neil, it seems a lot of people decided to stay home, keep the fuzzy slippers on, post turkey, and order away, because thus far, Cyber Monday doing okay, up 17% year over year. They're expecting about $2.5 billion in total online sales. 26% of those sales, though, will be on a smartphone or a tablet. So devices are really hot this year. 25 million people said they're going to be using a phone or something. And as for your earlier comment, 18% of those people said they were making those orders at lunch. Tell Mr. Ailes that you and I were not ordering during lunch. We were not. But Black Friday was a dud. You said it earlier, and we talked about this. Nobody wanted to come out because they knew the deals would be there. You got sites like Walmart and Target hitting it out of the park online. So the brick and mortar's really suffering. All that means is that consumers win. They're going to see more and more deals, more and more discounts between now and Christmas Day, Neil.
All right, Tracy, thank you very, very much. You can catch Tracy on our sister network, Fox Business. To find it in your area, go to foxbusiness.com/channel finder. Meanwhile, why are shoppers holding back? Well, Regina Lewis says it's simply too many deals too soon. People are just getting used to this. Marshall Cohen says it's the economic hurdles. A lot of folks can't afford to do this. So, Marshall, your argument is they're up against an economic wall.
You have to recognize that just because the stores decide to open up more hours, it doesn't mean we have more money in our pocket. And even if they open up earlier days, how many more relatives do you have to buy gifts for just because they're offering you more opportunity to take advantage of the deals? This is really about the stores offering sales earlier than ever, online competing with stores, stores competing with online, and what that means is better deals in a longer period of time for the consumer.
And Regina, those deals are everywhere, right? I mean, you don't have to wait for a certain day. They're constant, and people have been spoiled and blame the stores on this to provide them around the clock, right?
Well, the stores did what they knew they needed to do. It's really aimed at two kinds of shoppers. The first is selectionists, the one percenters, if you will. They shop early, 30% doesn't really lure them in. They don't care. They're buying the curved TV, and they're going to go when the store is not that crowded. The lion's share of people fall, to Marshall's point, in the second group, survivalists, living paycheck to paycheck. They have to pace themselves. They have to look for the best promotion, and whoever gets them first gets their dollar. That's why first mover advantage is so important. I'm not going to shop at Macy's and Kohl's. It's going to be one or the other. I'm not going to shop at Walmart and Target, one or the other. So there's a race, because you don't discover more money after you've shopped. When you're done, you're done. So those are the two buyers, and hence the promotions in the sequence.
But I always wonder, Marshall, whether you rob Peter to pay Paul when it comes to sales. In other words, now because stores open earlier or offering these big sales earlier, you're just buying now what you would have bought later on in the season. What do you think?
Part of it is that what's happening is with the really great deals, some of the consumers skipped shopping in September and October and waited for the deals in November to buy for themselves. So there's a lot of self-gifting going on for these special deals. The other part of it is it pays for the consumer to wait in many cases because, frankly, they're sitting there saying the deals are going to be as good today as they are later on. Retailers are continually looking at trying to find ways to lure the consumer in. It's only price.
You know, I wonder, though, Regina, if a lot of this gets back to retailers spoiling it for themselves. By that, I mean, gone are the midnight sales where people would break down doors to get that flat screen TV. Now it sort of peters out, or it comes in little waves and hours earlier and earlier on Thanksgiving Day. So there isn't like a single moment that heralds it as a big event. For a lot of these stores, it's been going on since Halloween.
I agree. There's even a term for it called Christmas creep, as in creeping up on the calendar. And of course, online, the target marketing is very specific. I think Shep said it best when he said he spent 10 minutes unsubscribing today to things that just got a little bit too annoying. I would also say, and maybe, Neil, we can throw out a challenge, I think you're onto something. If I was the TV or auto industry, I would pick a different day. I would make it National TV Day instead of Black Friday, because people don't buy big screen TVs as gifts. So the self-gifting point was interesting. It also could be the most positive sign for retailers, because it seems to indicate that people still have gift buying to do. They bought the TV for themselves, but they must still have to get some presents.
I don't know if that'll work, Regina, and I love you to death, but I had National Processed Cheese and Meats Day. Nothing happened. But Marshall, you go back to the economy itself, and if you're right, and maybe it isn't as robust as some had hoped, or that even with the lower gas prices, Americans had more money to spend. Do you know what they're doing with that money? If they're not spending it on elaborate gifts or buying for fewer people or just waiting, what are they doing?
Basically, you have to still remember that we have 36% of the millennials after age 18 are still living at home. They're living on a very tight budget. You also have, the fact is the job market may have stabilized, but that doesn't put more money in our pockets. So consumers are sitting there looking at higher cost of living, but yet the earning, you guys talk about this all day long, all the time. And it's really about recognizing the consumer feels this. This is a real issue. And when it comes to holiday, that's why they're looking and waiting for deals. They don't really feel all that free to go out and spend on anything and everything. Now add in the fact that there's nothing new and exciting in the stores. We're looking at the same products other than maybe a mobile phone and a game or a video game here and there. And you're sitting there looking at a consumer who's sitting there saying, oh, wait a minute, why should I spend my hard-earned money freely on holiday when I can sit there and say, I need to really rethink the equation?
Yeah, frugal is the new black.
Nah, it is still early, though, folks, right? We have some ways to go. We could be surprised. But thank you both very, very much. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Meanwhile, for heaven's sake, Al Sharpton among a group of reverends advising the president on Ferguson? Well, that should go well.
You won the first round, Mr. Prosecutor, but don't cut your gloves off, because the fight's not over. Justice will come to Ferguson.